Oscar De La Hoya has just thrown Jake Paul under the bus after his recent fight with Mike Perry. Golden Boy has thrown a major punch at the internet sensation turned boxer. And the media? They're throwing haymakers right back. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, I'm sure you know what went down in the ring when Paul and Perry put on gloves over the weekend. The problem child picked up a classic knockout win, but instead of singing praise, the boxing community went off, including De La Hoya, who didn't hold back the least and exposed Paul's tactics. But let's break it down. What exactly did the Golden Boy say? And how did the media react? Keep watching to find out. De La Hoya didn't mince words. He expressed his disappointment with the direction the sport is heading, and he didn't shy away from pointing fingers. De La Hoya didn't just throw a casual jab, he launched a full-blown verbal uppercut. He called the entire Paul vs. Perry fight a clown show from the start. Why? Because according to the Golden Boy, it was a complete mismatch. Let's get real. When you see Paul standing next to Perry, it's like comparing a grizzly bear to a poodle. We're talking about a reported 30-pound weight difference. Paul walked into the ring looking like a middleweight, around 220 lbs, while Perry looked like he belonged in welterweight, topping out at 190 lbs at most. That's a huge advantage in a combat sport. Golden Boy claims it wasn't Paul's dazzling skills that sent Perry to dreamland in the first round. Remember when Jake made Perry kiss the canvas just 30 seconds into the bout? It wasn't some Mike Tyson-level punch that made the Platinum Princess remember his grandma. It was the sheer power that comes with being a much bigger dude. Don't get it twisted. Perry deserves props for lasting until the 6th round, but let's face it, he was fighting with one hand tied behind his back from the get-go. And De La Hoya isn't the only one cringing at Paul's victory lap. Since the win, Paul's been celebrating like he just dethroned Muhammad Ali. The boxing world is tired of the self-proclaimed champion act after these cherry-picked fights. De La Hoya sees this as another example of Paul prioritizing social media clout over genuine competition. It was, in De La Hoya's own words, a simple case of mismatched power, not a boxing masterpiece. And so, is Jake Paul just picking fights he knows he can win with overwhelming physical advantages? De La Hoya sure seems to think so. Love him or hate him, De La Hoya's comments have definitely thrown gasoline on the already burning debate surrounding Jake Paul's place in the boxing world. Of course, the media has reacted to this fiasco, and the boxing community seems to be in agreement with Oscar's 2 cents. Yeah, the entire boxing world is basically lining up to take shots at the problem child. It's like everyone's watching this slow-motion train wreck and can't look away. From legendary champs to your average boxing fan, the verdict is in. Mike Perry was no match for Jake Paul. It was like watching a grown man fight a kid. I mean, have you seen the size difference? It's crazy. People are calling it a complete mismatch, and honestly, it's hard to disagree. Now, don't get me wrong, I know Perry is a brawler. This man is no slouch. Mike's got a perfect record in the BKFC, where not only is he undefeated, but he's taken down some of the biggest names in the promotion. But hey, the BKFC and traditional boxing are 2 different stories, and while he can be at the top of one of them, he might struggle to reach the same heights in the other. One fan commented, "It was like watching a grown man fight a kid." Another said, "Jake Paul could have fought a fridge and won." Ouch. It's brutal, but it's the truth many are afraid to say. But it's not just about the size. The boxing world thinks this whole thing was a setup. Jake Paul's team is playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. They're trying to build him up as a legit contender before he jumps in the ring with a real heavyweight like Mike Tyson. But the boxing community ain't buying it. They see right through the smoke and mirrors. Renowned boxing analyst Teddy Atlas said it best, "This is all a big illusion." Yeah, that's right, Teddy Atlas called Jake Paul out. And he's not alone. Countless other boxing legends are shaking their heads at this whole thing. So while Jake Paul is basking in the glow of his victory, the rest of the boxing world is rolling their eyes. But it doesn't end here. Oh no, Jake's in deeper waters than the boxing world, labeling him a con man or a fake boxer. This guy is up against Mike Tyson, and if that doesn't send shivers down your spine, I don't know what will. Oscar De La Hoya also just warned Jake Paul of what's to come next. 'Cause Mike Tyson is the real deal. Oscar tweeted, "He's coming for you." Here's the thing. Our guy Jakey here believes that he can knock Iron Mike cold in the ring just because he was able to send Mike Perry crashing onto the canvas. The problem child is getting ahead of himself with this one, don't you think? Now let's talk about this Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight. On paper, it's a mega fight that's gonna sell like crazy. But let's be real. The boxing world is scratching their heads. Tyson is a legend, no doubt about it. He still packs a punch even at his age. But let's be honest, he's in his late 50s. What is Jake trying to prove here? If he beats Tyson, is he really going to get the respect he craves? Or is he just going to get labeled as a guy who picked on an old legend?
And Jake Paul trying to climb the ladder through Mike Tyson. It's not a good look for him.
Oscar's got a point because this upcoming matchup is not looking good for Jake. It's another example of Paul choosing opponents that maximize attention while minimizing risk. Sure, the fight will be huge, but is it a true test of Jake Paul's boxing ability? Many fans and experts are skeptical. Now, Jake feels the pressure to stay in the spotlight. But by facing a much older opponent, it's like he's taking the easy way out. It's a risky gamble, and it could backfire big time if he doesn't deliver a knockout performance. But you know this fight is bringing him the only thing Paul cares about: the cash and the fame. Jake's all about the glitz and glam of boxing. The part where you have to put on gloves and step into the ring? Yeah, he's not too crazy about it. This Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul fight has caught everyone's eyes, and fans can't help but talk about it. Let's break it down for a second. This matchup was sending the fight world into a frenzy. People were hyped up, bets were placed, and the excitement was through the roof. And then bam, the fight's called off. Turns out Mike had a health hiccup on his cross-country fight from Miami to Los Angeles. The boxing legend had an ulcer flare-up and required assistance 30 minutes before the plane landed. When you've got a man pushing 60s gearing up for a boxing fight, health episodes are inevitable, but Iron Mike assured fans that this wasn't going to affect the bout, only to call off the whole shebang a few days later. I want to thank my fans around the world for their support and understanding during this time. Unfortunately, due to my ulcer flare-up, I have been advised by my doctor to lighten my training for a few weeks to rest and recover. My body is in better overall shape than it has been since the 1990s, and I will be back to my full training schedule soon. Jake Paul, this may have bought you some time, but in the end, you will still be knocked out and out of boxing for good. I appreciate everyone's patience and can't wait to deliver an unforgettable performance later this year. Now, this matchup hasn't completely fallen apart, which means the highly anticipated bout will now take place on November 15, 2024 at the AT&T Arena. Iron Mike is unlike any opponent Jake Paul has ever faced. Come on, Mike is the face of the sport after all. So, Jake's gearing up like never before. This fight is a make-or-break moment for Jake Paul. A win against Mike Tyson, no matter how old he is, would undoubtedly send shockwaves through the boxing world. But let's be real. If Jake's expecting everyone to kiss his feet and hail him as the new boxing king, he's in for a rude awakening. Beating a 58-year-old Tyson, even if it's a legendary one, won't erase the narrative that he's cherry-picking opponents. Boxing pundits like Joe Rogan, Eddie Hearn, and even Oscar De La Hoya are already tearing into this matchup. They see it as a desperate attempt by Paul to stay relevant and boost his profile. By agreeing to fight Tyson, Jake is not only showing incredible nerve or stupidity, but he's also trying to tarnish the legacy of one of the greatest boxers of all time. Let's be clear. Nothing Jake does can diminish Mike Tyson's legendary status. Tyson built his legacy through countless grueling fights against the best in the world. Jake Paul, on the other hand, has made a career out of fighting washed-up boxers and reality TV stars. Look, let's cut to the chase. If Jake Paul wants to be in the same league as boxing legends, he needs to stop playing around. He needs to fight the real deal, not some washed-up guys or guys who are way out of their weight class. That's the only way he's going to earn the respect of the boxing community. And that's exactly what Oscar De La Hoya has been saying all along. It's time to step up or shut up, Jake.
I think Mike Tyson, Jake Paul, look, it's one of those fights where, again, the world's going to watch. It's going to create new eyeballs for boxing. It's going to create a lot of news all over the world. But I stick to my message, and that is, if Jake Paul wants to take the sport serious, then he should be fighting young guys who are top 15, top 10, not heroes and legends like Mike Tyson, who are 60 years old.
Thank you, buddy.
That's it.
Right now, Jake Paul is just playing a game. He's picking fights that will make him the most money, not the ones that will make him a better boxer. If he wants to be in the conversation with the greats, he needs to fight guys like Canelo Alvarez. That's where the real test is. Until then, he's just a YouTuber playing dress-up. Oscar De La Hoya ain't messing around, folks. He's on a one-man crusade to save boxing from the Jake Paul invasion. This guy is like the Batman of boxing, but instead of fighting crime, he's fighting for the integrity of the sport. He's throwing everything he's got at Jake Paul, calling him out for his money-grab fights and his disrespect for the boxing world. De La Hoya is basically saying, "Enough is enough, Jake." He's sending a clear message: clean up your act or face the consequences. This isn't just about personal beef, it's about protecting the sport he loves. Oscar's worried that Jake Paul is ruining boxing for everyone else. He's concerned that younger fighters are going to start looking at Jake's path to fame and fortune and think that's the way to go. And that's a dangerous road to go down. De La Hoya wants to set a strong example that boxing is about skill, dedication, and respect, not just about making a quick buck. So there you have it, Fight World. That's all I have for you today. What are your thoughts on Oscar throwing Paul under the bus? Make sure to fill the comment section with your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more boxing news. See you in the next video.